Welcome back, my friends. I am back from New York and New Orleans and back in the studio here in Chicago. Glad you could join us for the 28th of October, 3 at 3. 3 at 3, of course, we talk about the algorithm heat seeker and what it has found as far as unusual option activity, and then highlight those activities for you here. So with that said, let's get started with today's unusual option activity. XBI. This is the biotech index. We had a great turn on this one earlier this year as it rolled over and moved to the downside. Now we've got upside call speculation in XBI. They're buying about 8,000 of the January 134 calls. That's about 8% above where the stock was this morning at 124.24. So as always, I tend to buy the at the money call and sell upside calls against it. I tend to also be in the same time frame. So I am in January time frame here because that's where these calls were purchased. And I try to spend about the same amount as the buyer of those January 134 calls spent. But I address both time decay and volatility compression by doing that one-to-one call spread. Buying the at the money, in this case, the 125s, selling a higher strike against it. That way, I have moved the odds into my favor. I'm not looking for as big a move in order for me to make 100% on my invested funds. So that's the first of today's 3 at 3. The second is FSR, Fisker. Many of you recall that we had a great trade just days ago in Lucid, LCID, when we were buying, I believe, the 25 calls. The stock went through 40 to the upside. And now Fisker, another EV car manufacturer, electric vehicle, 12,500 of the tomorrow expiry October 16 calls. So very fast. This is not for everybody. If you're brand new to this, probably shouldn't even do this. But for those of you who are experienced traders and know that you must take profits like that on anything that is as short dated as this. These options have 1 day to live, folks. So you need to cut losses very quickly or take profits very quickly on trades that are this short. You have half a day today and then the rest of the day tomorrow, or this is a pumpkin or nothing. So keep that in mind. Third of today's 3 at 3 is MRK. Now we had a great, 40x return on a MRK trade at the beginning of this month of October that we had at the end of September into that beginning of October. Well, now we have big upside call buying at the December 87.50 strike, 16,000. That's 1.6 million share equivalent. Whenever they trade that big, folks, I get interested. I was already in MRK. I decided to roll up to the December timeframe, and I am in the at the monies, the 85s, and I am selling upside calls against it as MRK rallies. It has, in fact, rallied to a new 52-week high as we're doing this program. Thank you. All right, let's take a quick look at some earnings that are coming our way tonight. If you are a subscriber, you are getting this before the market closes. As you see there, 13,500 of those 3,500 calls changing hands. That's the top line on that Amazon OCT21 3,500 call strike. You see the 3,600, about 8,700, 3,400, about 5,800. So the most active speculated area is the 13,500, which is probably much more than that now, of the 3,500 calls. Again, if you're a subscriber, you still have time to act on this. Buy a call, sell a higher strike, and so forth. If you're not, you're getting this in the after hours. You might still have time to get on a trade, but you're in the stock, which is quite expensive, as you might imagine, $3,500 per share. That's a pretty expensive speculative bite. Also, that Lucid, there's where it was up through 37. It has moved through 40. Bang! That's why we trade options, my friends. All right, and there was the unusual activity that led to that. As you see there, they were buying the 25 calls, then they were buying the 26 calls, then they were buying the 30 calls that expire tomorrow, and then they've rolled up during the day today, the 28th, to the 5th of November, which would be a week from tomorrow, 30 calls. So, boy, those are some big bets, folks, and boy, has this one paid off nicely. Bang. Let me just see real quickly where LCID is trading right now. 37 bucks. Love it. Bang. All right. Let's take some of your questions now, because when you have questions, we try to answer. The answers to your questions we do here on this program, sometimes on Twitter as well. You can reach out to me at JonNajarian. All right, let's look at the first one, which is Patrick Cannon. His handle is at Cannonballs17. Could you explain adjusted option contract? Is it as simple as it sounds? Pretty much. Let's say you have a $50 stock that does a reverse stock split. So you're going to have half as many shares at twice the price. It's going to be a $100 stock, and you'll only have half as many calls because instead of course, carrying all those calls to that higher number, you're going to have half as many. In other words, you control the same dollar amount of stock through the calls. They adjust the strike prices and so forth. So whether it's a reverse stock split, like I described, that we just saw in General Electric, for instance, or whether it's a 1-for-10 regular stock split, or a 1-for-7, or a 1-for-4, like we saw in Tesla, or like we saw in Apple. Those kinds of adjustments are why they have to adjust the strike prices. And sometimes you get weird strike prices because they'll do like a 3-for-1 reverse stock split or a 3-for-1 regular stock split, and you'll get fractional stock prices in there. But keep in mind, the OCC, that's the they I'm talking about, makes that adjustment, and then you just have to be watching for it. Let's talk about this one. Bobo says, why can they pump NWINF on the show, but you can't speak about your holdings like ABML or Voyager? Scott Wapner, CNBC, crazy. Bobo, here's why. That was Naked Wines, and it was discussed by a fund manager who was speaking out at the Sohn conference. So for participants and panelists like myself, they do indeed have a limit that I have to have at least $500 million stock, most of the time a $1 billion company, before they'll let me talk about it on television. So even though Voyager is that $1 billion stock, we haven't been speaking about that one yet. ABML, let me see what the price of ABML is today. ABML. It is an $808 million company trading at $1.28. Voyager just got some fantastic news, VYGVF. They just are up 33% today. They and they're a $2 billion company. They got an investment from Alameda, which is fabulous. That's Sam Bankman-Fried's company. And they also became the official currency of Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks. So crypto broker that I'm an investor in, Voyager, ABML, a company that I consult with and I love, which is recycled lithium. Those CNBC has some pretty tight constraints on me about what I can say about those. Obviously, I can talk about them here, but that's the reason that Naked Wines was able to be discussed, even though it's under in market cap and so forth. Let's see, Ed O, which is at ED_R_O. Do you typically close out your call vertical spreads, debit spreads, when they reach your sell call price? Thanks, Najar Bros. Yes, I do. I either close it or I roll it up. And depending on how much time is left in that particular contract, I might only close half and then let the rest run. But frequently, Ed, I will roll that option up and out. Lastly, one of my favorite parts of watching Halftime Report is when Jon Najarian and Pete Najarian lose it and start cracking up at what another panelist said or did. Today it was Jon on halftime. Often it's Pete when Adami talks about Chipotle. Seems like you guys have fun. We do. Today it was probably when Stephen Weiss mentioned that Josh Brown was dressed in black and he called him Johnny Cash. Kind of funny. Weiss has an interesting and good sense of humor, and he's pretty quick with those witticisms. Don't miss the live stream. Just reminding you that if you'd like to get this live at 3 o'clock, you must be a subscriber to Unusual Option Activity. We have several versions of it. So if 20 or 30 trades a day is too many for you, we have a program that is less expensive than that and has less trades than that. Remember, you can subscribe to any Unusual Option Activity and get that for free and live at 3 o'clock Eastern. If you are not a subscriber, then you get it an hour later when the market's closed. So you won't be able to trade options, but yes, you can still trade stock. MarketRebellion.com/UOA live. That's MarketRebellion.com/UOA live. Or you can dial up if you'd like to talk to a person, 888-809-8058. That's 888-809-8058. Thank you, folks, for your time. I hope you had a lot of great trades today. We were lucky and blessed to have those. Thank you. And I hope you join us tomorrow right back here on Market Rebellion Television.